Welcome to the Simply Luxurious Kitchen, inspired by travels to France, as well as to other delicious excursions around the globe. While going about my everyday life in Bend. Join me as I share seasonal fare to elevate the everyday meal. And most importantly, discover how to enjoy stepping into your kitchen. Let's get started. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Shannon Abels, and this is the Simply Luxurious Kitchen. Today, what we're going to be making is one of my favorite nibbles on a Sunday morning. And if I could have it every morning, I would. We're gonna make French croissants or croissants. Now, this is not my recipe. This is a recipe that was shared on Baking with Julia Child, and this is French baker Esther McManus's recipe. Now, I've changed a few things as far as how to keep it and enjoy it for months to come, as I like to have a bunch in the freezer, and then I'll show you how I do that and how I make them just as delicious on month 2 as day 1. But the reason I wanted to share this video with you and put this together for you is not everyone has access to the video, and I think seeing it being made makes it so much easier to understand. So I'm actually pulling the recipe from Baking with Julia, and I highly recommend this book. It is probably the go-to bakery book that I use for all of my French recipes. I trust it implicitly, and I love the show that accompanies it. So if you can find that, I'll provide links on my show notes. It is a fun watch. In fact, every Saturday morning this past year, that's what I was doing, as many of you know if you follow me on Instagram. But this is the thing with croissants, is you want to plan ahead, as you all probably know. So the day before you want them, maybe even 2 days before, you're going to do the first step, and that's what we're going to do right now. It's very simple. We're going to make the dough. All right, so get your dough paddle on there, and we're going to mix the first group of ingredients. So we want 3 3/4 cup of flour. It would help if this was on. How did you hop off? Ta-da! That was 1 cup. Okay. 2. And this is just all-purpose flour, unbleached. 3 3/4. There's a half, and there is 3/4. Now, whoops, he's got a little bit of flour. You want your active yeast. So you want 1 packet, and 1 packet of yeast is simply, and I like to put my teaspoons out here to help it become more visual. You want 2 teaspoons and 1/4 teaspoon. So 2 1/4 teaspoons of active yeast. And do make sure that it's fresh, that it hasn't been sitting in the cupboard too long. I have done that before, and then I get on the other end of the recipe and I go, why isn't this rising? Oh, my yeast was 2 years old, or maybe even 3. Oh my gosh. So that was a while ago, but I have made that mistake, and I make sure that my yeast is fresh. Now, you can have yeast for about 6 months and you'll be fine. So I put my packet of yeast in there. I want 1/3 cup of sugar. And this is just all being mixed in together. You don't have to start the yeast on its own before for this particular recipe. Then you want 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of course, sea salt would be just fine. Probably preferred. 2 teaspoons of salt. And we got our flour, we got our sugar, we've got our salt, and we got our yeast. Now we're going to put in a cup of whole milk. Now I have a cup and a half here poured. We're not going to use that last half a cup. We're going to reserve that because we might need it if our dough is too dry. So it's important to ascertain that as you're cooking, but at least put a cup in to begin with. So here we go, a cup. I can do this. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, there we go. Save the half. And we're gonna mix this until the sides of the bowl are clean. So start off slow. There we go. You get a spatula to swipe down the sides. Perfect. So just keep on going at a low speed, and eventually, just have patience with it, it'll all come together in a ball. If you see that it's too dry after it's all come together in a ball, that's when you can add a little bit of that milk. And sometimes you just want to scrape down the sides, help it out. This is also probably going to be the time you're going to see, oh wow, this is kind of dry, and I might need to add a little bit more milk. But you don't have to do that too early in the process. Be patient. You can always add more milk later. You can't take it. You cannot take it out. So there we go. Get the extras back in there. You guys want to be part of those croissants. They're good. So a slow speed. There it goes. Perfect. And a smidge of milk, whole milk. That's 2 tablespoons. There, just to help it out a little bit. 2 more tablespoons. And stop this and push down the sides a little bit just to help it out. It is almost there, as you can see. Perfect. Get all the lovely dough off so I can go back and join the party. Just about a teaspoon more. Yes! Getting so close. Perfect. This is what we want. We want the ball to be all encompassed, all the dough into that one ball, and we want the sides. So this is exactly what we want. We want the sides of the bowl to be clean. They are. We want it to be in a ball. It is. Here we go. Let's take a look. Sides of the bowl are clean. It's all in a ball. This is wonderful. Okay, perfect. Okay, and now that it is incorporated and the bowl is clean and it's in a ball, now you're done with the dough for the day. All you have to do, whoops, is wrap it. We're going to use that in a second. We're going to wrap this in plastic wrap. Get all my butters out of the way. We're going to use those in a second. We're actually going to double cover this croissant. If I can get my plastic wrap out. And we're just going to at first set it aside to rest for 30 minutes. That is it. Okay, Shannon, you got the plastic wrap. Okay, here we go. Cover that up. We'll wrap it up. Your plastic wrap, nice and snuggly. Now, find some kind of plastic bag. It might be a Ziploc bag. This actually was something that was delivered to me with my clothes, one of the shirt that I ordered, and it works really nice. Okay, seal it. It doesn't have to be airtight, but seal it. Okay, and we're just going to set that aside. Right back there for 30 minutes while you make the butterball. Doesn't that sound like fun? So you don't really need to clean it out because it's pretty clean already. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Okay. put that right back on. All right, what we are gonna do, we are still gonna use this bowl, but instead of using that dough paddle, we're gonna use the traditional regular mixer paddle. Okay, and we're gonna put a pound of unsalted butter into this, whip it up, not too creamy, but we do want it incorporated, and that too will go in the refrigerator. So I have a bunch of different butters here. In fact, I recently did a butter tasting, a French butter tasting, with some American and different popular butter brands on the blog, and I'll provide a link to that tasting on the show notes. But these actually have been sitting out on the counter for a bit, so they're a little soft. This is actually a local butter, and this is a French butter. The butter fat count, the higher, the better. The butter fat count in this one is about 82, 83%. This butter count, I do not honestly know, and I looked and I looked and I looked. This is the local market's own butter, so I am curious to see what it'll taste like. If you just have any kind of unsalted butter, that's fine, but again, the quality of butter you use is going to improve the quality of the croissants that you make. But work with what you have. Okay, so these are both a half pound. So we want to chop them up into rough chunks. They don't have to be fancy chunks at all. No. And we're also going to use the flour, so just put that right in there. Woo! So soft and buttery. You just use a butter knife. You don't need to use your chef's knife. But isn't it fun to dance with butter knife? It must be. All right. Butter is what's going to make these puppies sing. Oh my gosh. So we have a pound of butter there. And let's get started. Let's whip it. Okay. So we have our pound of softened butter, or butter that's been sitting on the counter. Medium speed, start to incorporate it. If it sticks to the paddle, which it will, it'll eventually fall right off actually. But if you want to make sure that everything's going well, just scrape it off the sides, that's fine, because we're going to turn it on high speed. Now, for a brief moment, we do not want cream here. We don't want to be so whipped and fine that it's like that whipped soft butter in the store. No, 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 no. We're just trying to get it to a state that it's malleable so we can roll it into a ball. Okay, let's get that off. I am not going to let any butter leave that bowl. All right, here we go. Medium and then high. Now here's a little trick. Before I take this out, in fact, I actually should have put the flour in as I started to mix it, so this is my mistake, but it's okay if you do a little bit later, is there's going to be a little bit of water, residual water that's part of butter. So you're going to put a tablespoon of flour to soak up that excess water. It's not going to add anything except for just to do the job of soaking up unnecessary moisture. So just add that. That's why you go slow at the beginning, because you added the flour. Sorry, I got excited about whipping butter. Okay. So add that to it. You can even add, depends on the butter that you have, obviously. I'm going to put another half tablespoon in. So a tablespoon and a half to soak up the butter. And I'm actually going to scrape down the sides to make sure that it soaks it all up. Perfect. Just thinking about these croissants and all this lovely butter in it is getting me excited. I cannot tell you what the difference between a well-made croissant and one that just, they've skimped on butter, they've skimped on quality. It is from this to this, and you're going to be making the awesome one. So here's a little bit more mix, and we'll be done to put this in a ball. Okay, now let's put it in a ball. So scraping that off. Now, I am really excited because this last summer, of course I love the croissants, and I will try a croissant wherever I go, but I'm always looking for where's the best croissant, because once you get a really good croissant with all the flakiness, but also the soft butteriness in the middle, you just don't want to go back. And I happened stay at a hotel this summer. And I've stayed at Airbnbs, I've stayed at all different vacation rentals, I've stayed in hotels in Paris. And this time I decided to stay in a boutique hotel. And it was in the 5th arrondissement, Hotel Monge, and I'll provide a link to it. And I actually wrote a little bit about it during French Week this last August. But perfect. Come on, Alberta. It's right there in the 5th arrondissement, and the hotel gave some recommendations of where to go and what to eat, and of course check those out. Well, I didn't know, but right there in the 5th arrondissement is the boulangerie that won for 2018 the best croissant of Paris. And this was summer of 2019. I'm visiting, and I'm thinking, oh, sure enough, on the Saint Germain Boulevard, just about 5 blocks away from my hotel, is this everyday boulangerie. Opens at 6 a.m. and it's a local stop. It's nothing fancy, doesn't need to be. The food is amazing. And I went there every morning that I was in that hotel, which was just 2, but I'll tell you what, if I was living there, staying there for 5 days or more, I would probably go there for every morning as well. And as you'll see here, some pictures of it. All those layers were so scrumptious. And the croissants are not that big. They're not petite, but they're not grand. They're not huge. They were scrumptious. And I want to thank the hotel for sharing that with their guests, because I am a fan. And even better, this place is 2 blocks or so away from Shakespeare and Company, right there on the river, and just a hop across the bridge to Notre Dame. So you have so many great little things. There's a fantastic park, by the way, right there by Shakespeare and Company at the bookstore, that I sat and enjoyed this croissant, the first one I had, and gazed at the Notre Dame. So anyway, I cannot recommend that place. Oh, what's the name of the what's the name of the boulangerie? It's Maison de la Isabelle. So Isabelle's house, Isabelle's home. It is just so good. And I'll provide the links to that on today's show notes. So we have it in a ball. Now some people like to bang it out. I like to bang it out when I'm working with it tomorrow. But you can also form it into more rectangular shape, which is what you're going to need for tomorrow, because you're going to roll it out. But if you have it in a ball, it's completely fine. Whatever works well for you. I'm going to clean my hands. So now another plastic wrap. This time you don't need a bag for the butter. That's just for the dough. Get that all laid out. Put your butter. Come on, butter. It's happy over there, evidently. Wrap it up nice and securely. That's all you need to do. Day 1 for making croissants is done. You're going to put this along with the dough into the refrigerator overnight, so it could be 12 to 14 hours, but I have actually just put it in the fridge for 8 hours and been able to make it the end of the day. So if I got up really early in the morning, or just in the morning, got this done, as you can see, it took all of 10-15 minutes, and 8 hours later, I could have croissants. It does take a bit more. There's many more steps to come, but we're going to get to those. I'll see you in the next take. I'll see you in just a second with 8 hours elapsed. All right, it's been about 14 to 16 hours. We put the dough and the butter in the fridge at 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, and it is now about 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. Now, I'm about ready to go to yoga class, but this is an all-day kind of process with the laminating and the layering and the rolling, and while it's very simple, it just takes time. So I'm going to give most of my Saturday, because it's pretty flexible this week, to creating the dough and creating the croissants. So we're going to, before I go to yoga, since it's going to take 2 hours for the next process to do its work, we're going to roll out the butter and put it into the dough. Let's get it out of the fridge. All right. So we have our butter, and we have our dough. That's a nice seal. We have our dough. We don't need the plastic bag anymore. And we have our butter. So what we want to do, we're going to use this surface right here. We need a pretty big surface because we're going to roll it out to 18 inches. Okay. Doesn't need to be too floury. It depends what kind of surface you have. But again, you want 18 by 10 is the roll out, so you're gonna go a little bit longer than that. So first we need to roll this out. Smells like yeasty dough. Love it. Okay. Let's roll that out. This doesn't have to be perfect, but we do need it to be a rectangle, and I'll roll that out. All right, so we have about 18 inches. We definitely have 10, and I can work this out once we put the butter in it. So now we take the butter out, and again, this could be in a big round ball, or it could be somewhat shaped into a rectangle. Now it's nice and chilled, so it's nice and hard, and that's what's going to make this next process somewhat therapeutic. But again, we're making croissants, so it's still with love. So we're going to put that butter right in there, and we're going to stretch that dough out just a little bit, and we're going to pull it over. Okay, stretch that dough out just a little bit and pull it over, so a tri-fold. Okay, it's okay if it's not perfect, do not worry about that. What we're basically going to do is stretch that butter out so it is in the middle of this dough. Now it's up to you how you want to do it, but while I'm what I'd like to share with you is that this last June I went down to San Francisco for the first time in 17 years, and there was a bakery on my list, and that bakery was Tartine. It is a couple-owned restaurant, a man and wife-owned restaurant or a bakery that started in 2000 to 2003, and it was just a small bakery that you would normally go into, that has expanded, has been doing so well, and they now have the restaurant for meals called the Manufactory, and I had the opportunity to go to both, the original bakery and then walk 10 short blocks actually in the Mission District to the Manufactory, where you can sit down and really enjoy a full meal. Anyway, their croissants, as you'll see in the pictures I'm going to show you, were layered and layered and layered with butter and lovely crispy goodness, and their pain au chocolats. So while you're taking a look at a video of my visit to Tartine this last summer, I'm going to take care of this. Here we go. Norman's looking at me over there. Who needs yoga when you can make croissants? All right, so as you can see, some of it's not real super even, and we'll get this all incorporated here in a second. If you have extra like that, you can roll it up like that. We're gonna roll it out, and then we're gonna put it back in the fridge for 2 hours. So just roll it up, straighten it up, because eventually it'll get rolled out again, layered up again, and we're just going to have so many layers that we are just going to be eating croissants as we would eat them in Paris or Tartine in our very own homes. All right, again, this does not need to be a perfect long rectangle. No, 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 no. You just want to make sure the length of it has butter from tip to bottom. All right, so now let's put this on a baking sheet, the longest one you have. Mine's a full baking sheet. It's gonna go over a little bit, that's okay. What you're gonna wanna do is get plastic wrap and wrap it all the way around. So, and it will not be perfect and it will not be tight, and that's just fine. That's actually preferred because it's going to be coming off and going back on a lot. And that will work. Everything needs to be covered up so the air doesn't get in there. The towel. And into the fridge for 2 hours. I'm going to go to yoga class. And when we come back, we'll just keep layering it and refrigerating it and refrigerating it. And eventually, we will get close. Not close, we will have croissants and pain au chocolat. I'll see you in 2 hours. All right, so we're back from yoga. And before I freshen up, because I do need to freshen up, I want to get this next rollout taking place because it needs to be in the refrigerator for another hour. So let's get the first with the butter that was layered into the dough. Take that out after having been in the fridge for 2 hours. So we're going to take it out. Take our plastic out. Save it over here. Flour our surface again because we're going to roll this out even bigger this time. Really start creating those layers. Don't need a ton of flour again. Let me get this out of the way. But we want to roll it out. See how the butter, you can see the butter in the dough there kind of spread out. We're going to keep layering that here with this turn, the next turn. Eventually, it's going to be so many layers of butter, it's going to be like swimming in it and just soaking it up ourselves. All right, so let's roll this out to 18 by 24. Right, Oscar? And it's going to be firm. That's good. I'm going to come over here. Watch your toots. So we got to get this all the way up to 18. And the butter right here really is happy stuck where it's at. So again, more of the workout. The workout continues. Now, if it says 18 by 24, I know you can be precise. Sure, get your tape measure out and do it. These are croissants for you and people you enjoy having breakfast with or snacks with. It's not going to matter if it's 17, 25, 23 and 19, 27, 25 on one end, 18 and 23, or 19 and 23 at the other. Just get it close. We're trying to give you as many layers that are available. At the same time, make sure that we have lots of layers of butter to be able to fold into each other. Okay. They are the best little buddies in the kitchen because, well, they can't tell me. There he is drinking some water, Oscar. They can't tell me if something's good or not because they do taste test every once in a while. They do help clean up in the kitchen when Mom makes a mess, which is not infrequent. Okay, we're getting close to 18. Let's see if we can get it a little bit longer and wider at the same time. Every 4 months. So last time I made this, it lasted for 4 months and I had 2 croissants every weekend. I usually have my croissants on Sunday with my Sunday newspapers as I'm relaxing in the morning. And that's just for me. Now granted, there are 2 of us. It might last for 2 months. If I have a guest over, have a big gathering, it only lasts 1 month because the others will be frozen waiting for me to enjoy. But you don't have to always have in the freezer, but it's nice to know you do. So whenever you want to make sure that you have some croissants in the refrigerator or the freezer, just take the Saturday, that's yours if you enjoy stepping into the kitchen, and amaze yourself. Because yes, you too can make croissants. Okay. Okay. That is 18 by 24. Maybe 22, but I'm happy with it. Because what we're going to do now is fold it in thirds. So, just like that, like a letter, and just like that. Flatten it down a little bit. Nothing, you're not going to roll it out yet. That'll be next time we get it back out of the fridge. Okay? Now, this time, I've taken the same pan, but I put parchment on it, and I'll show you why in a second. So we put this right there on there. Oop. Okay, and you're going to be doing this 2 more times. So one idea that Esther McManus suggested, and I highly recommend, is marking it. Put first, wherever you're going to see it. Or in some bakers, what they'll do is they'll do marks in it. Okay, so this is the first time that it's been in for an hour, and so you push a little indentation into the end. But again, it's not really going to rise. Again, you're just chilling this, so it's not going to be like, oh, gone. You're like, oh, where'd my dent go? It's going to stay there. So it's up to you. If you don't want to write, if you don't have a pen, just put a little dent. First one. And then, if you don't want to use plastic wrap, the whole reason we're putting plastic wrap on the dough is to make sure it doesn't dry out. What you can do instead is get a cloth, this is a tea towel, dampen it, and put it right on top, and then put it in the refrigerator for 1 hour. So 1 hour, here we go. I'll see you back here in an hour. I'm gonna go freshen up. Boop, boop, boop. All right, so it's been an hour. I'm freshened up a little bit. Let's get to our next laminating session. All right, so again, the dough has been in for another hour. Nice and chilled, oh, nice and firm. Let's get a new swift of flour down. And we're gonna roll this out again. We're gonna roll this out again. We're gonna roll it out to, again, 24 by 18 and tri-fold it again. So here we go. Notice that I'm laying it out this way. I'm not laying it out this way so that it keeps going that way. I'm gonna keep rotating it, so I'm pushing it and folding it different ways each time to make sure that the layers really are multiple and not just the same thing on top of each other, but you're getting butter everywhere. I'm gonna get this out of the way. But you're getting butter everywhere. Hi guys. The croissants are going to be good, I promise. Yeah. I think one thing about this, I know some people are probably watching this going, this is taking far too much work, Shannon. There's no way I want to do this. Understandable. We are all very busy, and I as well. Don't want to be stuck in the kitchen for hours and hours and hours waiting for the dough to chill. But this is the thing. When you want to, you do it. If you don't want to, you can go to the bakery and buy one. But I try to explain in my books, and when I've had some recent book signings, people ask what Simply Luxurious Living is all about. And my explanation is it's something that takes time to attain, and when you do, it brings you great comfort. That's lasting, and you deeply appreciate it. Now granted, we're talking about croissants here. This is not the biggest life-changing thing to worry about, but what it is something you will appreciate. And when we finally get to that point, and you do this in your kitchen, you get to that point where you have gone through the many different hours of laminating and chilling and refrigerating, you sit down with that hot cup of coffee or that hot cup of tea, whether you share it with others or on your own, you are gonna appreciate it so much more. So I'm gonna keep rolling this out, and then this is gonna be folded up in 3s, again, same way, and put back into the refrigerator for 1 more hour. Okay, so that was the second tri-fold. So put it right there. Cross off your second or your first and put second. There we go. So you can kind of see what I've done there. Put your damp cloth on. And 1 more hour. Okay, we're getting close. It's been in the fridge for another hour. We'll take it out and roll it out. So, a little more flour again. Just like that. This time, we're gonna fold it a little differently. And this will be the last time we refrigerate it the next time I put it in the fridge will be the last time we refrigerate it until we cut them out. So now we're gonna roll it out again to about 24 by 18. Oh boys, yeah. And we're just, again, creating layer after layer after layer. We have about 2 feet by 18. This time, what we do is we do 4 folds. So not a tri-fold anymore. We're going to fold it quarter of the way in, so they should meet. Okay, and you're gonna fold it like a book. All right, so just go to a little roll there. Just don't do anything heavy and long, and don't expand it. You're just kind of trying to seal it. Then it's the last time again we're gonna put it in the fridge before we cut it into our croissants. I'm gonna put my final, boop, 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 boop. There we go. And there we go. 1 more hour, guys, and then we will cut up our triangle croissants and our pain au chocolat. I'll see you in an hour. In the oven. All right, welcome back. We have waited 1 hour, and everything is ready so we can cut the croissants. All right. So now we have put them in the refrigerator 3 times, aside from the 8 hours, the first go around for the dough and the butter. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna separate them to make it easier. So we just take this dough and we're gonna cut it in half. Half of this we're gonna make into croissants, and the other half we're going to make into pain au chocolat, so chocolate croissants. And we need to roll each of these out to 20 by 24. Then all the magic will start to happen. So just keep in mind, this is about the time, so it's about 2:30 now. This is about the time we made the dough yesterday. So 24-hour time period, we are finally able to roll out the croissants. So we're gonna roll this out to 24 by 20. So I'm gonna roll this up, and while I'm rolling this, I would love to take you with me to one of my favorite museums in Paris that I had the opportunity to return to this summer after 19 years ago being my first time. So just this summer, this is the museum that I so looked forward to seeing and had the opportunity to do. Enjoy. this is for the croissants. This is about 20 by 24. Again, it's about. What we're going to do is go like this. Fold it in half lengthwise. So we've got it folded lengthwise. Now we're going to cut it into the sizes of croissants that we want. Now, you can make small croissants, which is what I did last time, and I'll show you some pictures here of what I've been making. Or you can make them a little bigger. It's really entirely up to you. So, and again, you can actually turn the second one into croissants also if you don't want pain au chocolat. The pain au chocolats are awesome. So we'll talk about that in a second. So take a pizza cutter, straighten up the edges. You can do something with this later with those. Don't worry, we're not going to waste them. Okay. And you're just going to cut. Now this is where the fold's at. It will get sliced in half in a second, so it doesn't matter. But we're going to start just like you would a big triangle. Start right at the end. Making mine a little bigger than the last batch that I made 4 months ago. Just like that. Oh, with regards to that museum, Musée d'Orsay, my absolute favorite in Paris, and there are so many, but that is probably because of my memories of it. I did have a croissant before I went to that museum. I started that morning, went to the Maison d'Isabelle for one of their croissants, ate it in the park that was near Notre Dame next to Shakespeare and Company, and then walked down to Musée d'Orsay. So, started the day off with the croissant. Bien sûr! Alright, so put these over here for now. We could easily roll those out again and make croissants. Now, you're opening these up. Okay. Some of them are barely attached, and that's fine. They're going to be sliced in a second. Some are entirely attached, but we have 2 croissants each time we do this. So easy. And again, this recipe is the recipe that's shared in Baking with Julia, Esther McManus, and I will provide the link to that video, the book, and the recipe for that. I've just added a few additional things here, as I said at the end, to make it work for me. So now, you just go right down the middle, slice, separate them, okay? And now, let's prepare a baking sheet. Alright, so now I've prepared a small quarter baking sheet. I love my quarter baking sheets. I use them all the time. A quarter baking sheet. And this is going to be where I put the croissants that I want to make this go round. The rest of the croissants I'm going to freeze. So this is the point where you decide how many do I want this weekend and how many do I want next weekend and beyond. Now what I'm going to do is make 4 of each. I'm going to make 4 croissants and 4 pain au chocolat, and then I'll show you how to freeze them and then cook them after you've frozen them. But we still have to form all of them. So we take each of the triangles, and they look really small. So hold on. I'm going to use my right hand because it's more comfortable. You hang on the very top like a pizza, but really awkward pizza, and you're really just going to stretch these out a little bit. But you want to keep the top part intact, kind of the same length, and you just pull it down. Just don't break it. It really doesn't break that easily, but if you're really aggressive with it, you might. And then roll it up. The butter, it's already there. I can feel it. I love it. You roll it up, nice and tight. Okay, the tip should be on the inside of the crescent. And you're just going to put this down. Here, remember I'm baking, oops, I'm going to slide that under there, get that tip under there. Okay? I'm baking 4 croissants, and then I'll show you where to do the rest of them. So hold with your thumb like this. I like to stretch it with the side of my palm, because it doesn't, no fingers pull too tightly. Keep that tip intact. And pull and roll. And this is the part, you know, some of us have done this with our moms. Get those crescent rolls and we make them. Well, now you're making your own. Isn't that exciting? Okay, one more for this pan. Okay, roll. Again, these can be a lot bigger than this if you prefer. It's entirely up to you. So the rest of them do the same thing and then we're going to freeze them. Okay, so all those are done, and this is what I'll do with those. You remember that plastic bag that I have the dough rise in? Well, now these buddies are going to go in here and freeze. Now what I like to do is put them all flat, about 3 to a row, spread them out so they don't stick to each other, but they usually don't. It's usually not a problem. Then you take any extra parchment paper that I might have that I cut, which I did for this over here, and I put it across. This one's almost too small. Let's just do it this way. I'm going to get one more. And this just prevents them from sticking together. I'll put additional row in. And I put them right in between the two. See how I did that there? So there's a croissant underneath, and then I snuggle that in between there. And they kind of just hold it in place. I like that. What's going on here? Parchment. There we go. Do the same thing with these. Okay. All right. For now, these are just going to go to that counter because I'm going to put some pain au chocolats in here. Now these eventually are going to go into the proofheat oven, but I'm waiting for the pain au chocolat to be rolled out, and then we'll put them in there together. So I'll be right back after I've rolled this out the exact same way, and I'll come back and we'll cut them up together. All right. So we have about 24 by 20, maybe a little less, but that's okay. Here we go. We'll roll it in half, or fold it in half. Now the pain au chocolat, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Just take a scraper or a pastry cutter. Clean that up. Okay. And see, it's pretty pliable, nice and stretchy. There's so many layers. It's holding itself together, really. All right. Cut it a little differently. Pain au chocolats are square or rectangular, so that's what we're going to do. And as wide as you want to make them. Or 5 that are pretty standard, and we're going to make 2 petite ones here. So now, you open them up. Oscar is supervising, just in case. And you'll slice them down the middle. This one will be a little funky one, but we want to use the dough. Okay, then you slice it down the middle, because these are all separate croissant, or pain au chocolat. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we had 12 here. We had 14 over there with our croissants. So we had about 28, 30 croissants. Okay, now for the chocolate. With everything, the type of ingredient matters. So you want to pick quality chocolate. Every time you go into a store where there's chocolate, there's different types, right? There's milk chocolate, there's bittersweet chocolate, there's dark chocolate, there's white chocolate. All that's telling you is the percentage of cacao in the chocolate. Here's some more information on the percentage that is in each type of chocolate that you see in the store. All right, I'm going to use some dark chocolate and some bittersweet chocolate. So there's a lot of cacao in here. These are my favorites, and I'll have links to everything in the show notes for the brands that I like. So all you have to do, you don't need a lot of chocolate here. So you're just going to cut, and you can go buy small chocolate bars that you don't have to cut at all, that they're made for this, and you can roll it up, but you may not have that in your house. And it's okay if you put chocolate in that are in all different pieces. That's okay, it's all gonna melt as long as it stays in the croissant. So we're just gonna chop this up. Now, ooh, this one actually came out in a bar, perfect. All you do is you stick it at the end. This is actually probably a little, well, it can fall out too. You stick it at the end of one end of the dough, and you just roll it up like a wiener wrap. This one is nothing special or fancy about it. And I would kind of, not totally pinch, but I would pinch the end down. And then we'll do 4 of these, and then we'll freeze the rest. So I'm gonna do 2 bittersweet. Yeah. Now Tartine also had pain au chocolat, and they were very good there too. So we had to have one of each. We had the traditional chocolat or croissant, and then we had the pain au chocolat. Now I'm going to roll up the, let's see here if I can find a better one. Or actually, that was bitter. Yeah, this is dark chocolate. So you're putting about a tablespoon of chocolate in there, give or take, depends on the size that you're rolling. Either way, the chocolate's going to be good, the dough's going to be good, anything you taste is going to be amazing. Alright, so those 4 are going to go right here. We're just going to stagger them because obviously they're going to expand a little bit. Let's roll the rest of these up and just pick whatever chocolate you want. Now, I'm rolling up my last pain au chocolat. And this is the thing, so you see I'm rolling up something inside the croissant. This is where you could also put your almond paste. That's a funky one, but it'll taste good. You could also put almond paste in there or whatever in type of croissant that you like to eat. Now, again, I'm gonna layer. And here we go, just put it in the gaps. So I have croissants. Oops, that one didn't get sealed very well. For weeks, potentially months to come. Seal it nice and tight. Get as much air out as you can. That is a nice thick pastry or a Ziploc bag. And this goes in the freezer. So now we have our 4 croissants that are going to be baked. First things first, you need an egg. We're gonna egg wash these. And we're not putting them in the oven to cook just yet. What we're doing is proofing them. So what we're doing right now is we are going to proof what we want to eat. Now this is also what would happen if you wanted to go to the freezer and pull out the ones from the freezer. There's an extra step though because you've frozen it. So for example, I like to eat my croissants on Sunday. So Saturday night before I go to bed, I take out however many croissants from the freezer that I want to eat. I put them just like this, and then I put a towel over the top of them. It does not have to be a damp towel. It can just be a dry towel. And I put them in the refrigerator to unthaw. And then when I wake up in the morning, it's usually about 5 or 6, I'm not getting up entirely, but I'm up with the dogs. And then we do what I'm gonna do now. We proof them. So the oven has been on at 320 or 350, and as soon as that water boils, we're going to turn the oven off entirely. And this is for anyone who does not have a proofing oven, which is a lot of us. But if you do have a proofing oven, then it's simple. You just turn the proofing oven to 100 and you put it in the oven for 3 hours. What we're going to do is take that boiling hot water, pour it into here, turn off the oven, stick this pot in there so it's going to make it a little humid in there. Turn off the oven as I mentioned, put these in there for 3 hours. Then once we take them out, that's when we bake them. So while that's waiting to boil, we're going to egg wash, just 1 egg wash all of these. I know they're not baking, but they still get egg wash because we want to make sure they get nice and crispy brown when we bake them finally. So just cover them all. Okay. It's like painting. It's kind of fun. And save this in the fridge while they're proofing because you're going to egg wash them again before you bake them. Because anywhere you don't put the egg, don't skimp because anywhere you don't put the egg wash, it won't get as beautifully brown. Okay. So our teapot water is boiling. We're gonna turn the oven off. Voila. So it's still gonna stay warm in there for a while, as we know. Pour all this hot water, and I fill this teapot up about halfway. Okay. Sticking this in the oven. Turn that off. These are going in. Again, they're just proofing. They're not cooking. Okay, put the timer on for 3 hours and we'll go do whatever we need to do. But when we take them out, we'll finally be able to have buttery, flaky croissants. I'll see you in 3 hours. All right, we're ready to take them out. Here we go. Look at these. Look at that buttery, brown, perfectly golden crust. Our pain au chocolat. Oh, the chocolate is starting to come out. Oh my goodness. Still bubbling. All right, so let's get one of each on this plate to try. Yes. Okay, I've warmed up some hot tea. Here we go. Gotta have some hot tea with it as well. Okay. And if you look at the bottom, not that this is bread, but the bottom should be brown as well, and it is. So let's bite it. Let's dive in. It's been worth the wait, hopefully. Oh. It's steamy and I like it cool. All those layers. A lot of butter, and it is awesome, and it's crispy but also tender on the inside. Have a little tea, and then we'll try the other one. Let's try the pain au chocolat or chocolate croissant. The chocolate is melted and gooey and fantastic. Oh, yum. So, what I'm gonna do is enjoy these two this evening, because why not? Then the rest are gonna be enjoyed in the next few days, and I'm gonna give a few to my neighbors, because tomorrow is Sunday, and that means croissants. Sunday newspapers, a good nice walk, nice breakfast, and relaxing with a cup of tea with all those simple luxuries. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday, or whenever you choose to enjoy a croissant. And remember, this recipe is Esther McManus's, shared on Baking with Julia. It's in Baking with Julia's cookbook. In the freezing part, I'll put all the instructions in the show notes, as well as the recipe and links to that book and to that episode, so you can see all different ways to get this right so you enjoy your croissant. Enjoy your day, enjoy your food, and enjoy stepping into your kitchen. Bonne journée.